I'm going to start by asking, I mean, I just wondered about when you've kind of done a series and you feel a kind of a closeness to a character and to a show, is it quite nervy when you get the scripts through for season two? And how was your kind of first reaction? Were you quite surprised, or did it kind of go as you sort of expected it might?
I was really excited to get back into it for season two. I really love this gang, and I was excited to see what the writers would do with it. I was surprised by how well Sam was doing at the start of season two. The new job and sort of getting her life together more quickly than I anticipated. And I thought it was a great place to start because obviously there's a lot of downfall from that point. But I was surprised and delighted. I thought it was a great way to start off the second season.
I mean, by now you must feel such an affinity to this character. I mean, has Samantha had any impact on you kind of as a person?
I do have an affinity for her, and I love getting to play her. And the impact it's had has really just been the sort of communications that I get with people that are also in recovery, and I love it. I feel really lucky that that's the response from the show, is that people want to talk about their own sort of journey of sobriety or their own relationships with their mothers or whatever it may be. It makes me feel like we're doing something right, that it's relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had any kind of memorable fan interactions for this, because obviously when you play a character like this, so many people resonate with, there's always that chance you're going to meet someone that kind of tells you something quite inspiring or something.
Yeah, the best thing that happens is that people just shout how much time they have at me. Like, I live in Brooklyn, so I get to see a lot of people outside all the time, and people just sort of say like, "Oh, I have 3 years," or someone will say, "My daughter has 5 years," or something, and that was very surprising when it first started happening, and now it's kind of my favorite thing in the world.
I was wondering, because I mean, there is an uplifting tonality to this, but it's quite, I mean, particularly kind of at the beginning of season one, it's quite a sad character, and she obviously has some demons she's got to kind of battle as an addict. I just wondered about the challenge in kind of balancing that, because there is quite a light tone to the show, but there is obviously that kind of darker undercurrent to it too.
Yeah, it was the thing that made me want to do the show, because I think it really reflects life more when something is both funny and heartbreaking at once. And I had never seen a show or a film that tackled addiction with this sort of comedic undertone, and so I was really excited by that. But it is really challenging sometimes, and you want to find the funny, but you want it to be truthful and honest and grounded and all of those things. And when we find that sweet spot, though, it feels so rewarding. So it's kind of my favorite part of the gig, is trying to ride that line, not only in every episode, but often in like one scene where we're kind of trying to do both things, which is fun. It's like juggling on a skateboard.
Because I was going to say, talking about kind of juggling, kind of sort of balancing tones, I want to go way back to the start, to the scene that started the whole thing. Because I went back and rewatched it. You play drunk really well without being a caricature. Is that quite tough? Because when we act drunk, we kind of sway around and we kind of slur our words. You can always tell when someone's faking drunk. I just wondered how you went about kind of making sure it felt subtle, but also quite comedic at the same time.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think the thing is, at least in my experience of being drunk myself or watching other drunk people, especially people that are sort of way too drunk at a bar and are clearly way ahead and outpacing everybody else around them, is they really never think that they're that drunk, and they never want you to think that they're that drunk. So to me, it was more about trying to be sober than it was trying to be drunk, if that makes sense. It's like the sort of, I swear to you, I'm fine. Actually, I'm completely fine. I think that insistence is like the hallmark of someone that's way too far gone.
Because it reminds me of when you get home to your parents' house when you're 18 and you're just desperately trying to look completely sober as you're eating kind of fish fingers with your hands, like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the most important thing to you in the world in that moment is convincing everybody else that you've actually had not that much to drink at all. So yeah, I just try to hold on to that sort of thing, more so than what your body's doing. Well, I think it's easy to get in your own head about it, but if you just try to like narrow your focus, I think it feels more truthful.
I was going to ask too, because obviously in the show, Samantha has kind of sponsors who kind of help her with her recovery, and that's kind of theme I know as we go into this kind of second season. I just wondered if you've ever had a kind of guide, be it I'm sort of talking professionally, is it someone that's really kind of helped you, particularly kind of in sort of navigate your way through the film industry and the TV industry? I'm
really lucky because I've had a few, and the one I think about most often when making the show is Caitlin Olsen, who was the lead of the Mick and obviously has played Dee Reynolds on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for a very long time. That show was the first time I'd ever done comedy. I was very, very nervous, but that's sort of what I've always wanted to do. So I was very excited, but I felt a bit in over my head at times. And she is such a grounding presence. And so I think she really helped guide me through that world for the first time. And also just showed me like sort of the best ways to be the lead of a show, and how to inspire, I think, everybody around you to do their best work. And so I think about her a lot. And on this show, Ally Sheedy is a bit of a guide for me, and always is there to sort of hold my hand when I'm struggling through something or not totally sure how to make something work. She's a really generous scene partner. So both of those women come to mind for sure. We're talking to brilliant women. I mean, you got to work with Molly Ringwald in the Shiver episode. Yeah. How was that experience for you, working with a legend of the screen? It was so wonderful, and especially getting to see her and Ally sort of reunited was really special for me. And they're so wonderful together, and Molly's so funny and was so game. And yeah, it was really, really fun. That was a great week. Something too, I just wanted to go back, because when you're talking about kind of what the character kind of means to you, I just wondered is she a kind of separate entity from yourself? Do you feel, and can you feel pride at her recovery and her journey? Or is that kind of weird when you are her, if that makes sense? No, it does make sense. I do feel pride in her. I mean, it does feel like a separate entity for me, not when I'm in the thick of it, but now that we've had time away and stuff, I do feel pride in her. And also because it's based on our creator, Simone Finch. There is a lot of affection that I have for both of those, fake Sam and real Simone. Yeah. And how far they've both come. And obviously Simone's much farther along than Sam is. But yeah, I do feel a lot of pride. I mean, you've done, talking of pride, I mean, you can feel lots of self-pride in the sense that, I mean, there's some great shows you've done of late. I mean, Single Drunk Female, of course, but Your Honor, The Night Of. What makes you decide when you get a script through? How quickly can you tell this is something that you really want to be a part of, I should say? I would say pretty quickly. Yeah. I mean, there are some things that it's trickier because I love the project, but maybe the character doesn't speak to me as much. And so it's a navigating, well, is there enough here still that I can learn a lot and have a worthwhile experience? And then sometimes with Single Drunk Female, it's both. I love this project. I love the people involved. I really want to work with all of them. And also the character really speaks to me. And I feel like I have a strong take on her. So that's the sort of lucky, that doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while it's both. I was looking back because I've interviewed you. Strangely, it was quite ahead of its time because I did it on kind of like a Zoom thing, but it was about 9 years ago, so way before kind of COVID. But I did interview for Project Almanac, and I wow, marveling at the idea. It was sort of like, that's like 8 or 9 years ago, that interview, and it kind of stopped and made me realize. I thought, shit, I've been doing this for 8 or 9 years. I feel like I'm quite experienced now. I just wondered if you ever have those moments you go, hang on a minute, I've been doing this quite a while, or conversely, a bit like me, do you still have no idea what you're doing? Both. Yeah. Both. Depends on the day. Some days I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this a long time. And how lucky am I that I'm still doing it, and also that I'm now getting to do projects that I really care about and feel like I have something to contribute to. And then other days I wake up and think I know less now than I did then, and oh my God, I was so cocky then, and I thought I knew everything about everything. And the older I get, the less I feel like I know. It's definitely a mixed bag.
And just very funny, before I do go, I have to ask as my final question, but have there been any conversations yet about more single drunk female in the future?
The creative, everyone on the creative side is very, very excited at the prospect of doing more. And I think we all feel like there's a lot more stories to tell with this group. So hopefully we have our fingers crossed, but we don't know yet.
Cool. Well, yeah, fingers crossed. And hopefully we'll catch up in another 9 years. Who knows?
Yeah, 9 years. We only are allowed to talk every 9 years.
That's it. Yeah, it feels like a Richard Linklater movie, that does. But anyway, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for your time, Ted. Best luck with the release of the show.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!